Why? Why is this happening? Because the reason cannot possibly be to benefit law-abiding citizens, and it cannot possibly be a demonstration of our elected officials to adhere to their oath of office to serve the communities that elected them. Hello, welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you for your support. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, issues that I think actually matter to everyday people. We are not CEOs of big corporations, we are not part of the mainstream media, and we do not live in the Hollywood bubble. We are also not politicians in Washington, D.C., but we do have to live with the decisions being made and the narrative being pushed by the people in the previously mentioned categories. If you feel like that describes you, please like this video, share this video, leave a comment below. Also, subscribe to my channel. All of these things help me to grow my channel and to reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to find me on Rumble under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides that I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So let's talk about the fact that crime has gotten completely out of control in pretty much all of our major cities in America right now. Looting, violence, carjacking, physical assault, drugs, kidnapping, homicide. All of these things are up across the board in all of our big cities. And it's unfortunate because, those of us that are working and those that are law-abiding citizens and trying to contribute to society have to feel the effects of it. And this is what a lot of our cities look like right now.
Hey, cops! Cops! New York City is the greatest city in the world. Everyone wants.
What has been a contributing factor to the reason that our cities look like this now is soft on crime policies. We've got bail reform. We've got cashless bail. We've got the fact that in California, stealing $950 worth of property has been reduced to a misdemeanor, and it makes it so it's not even worth it for police to pursue these people anymore. And you can see endless videos of people just running into stores and leaving with trash bags full of stuff, and they are not being caught, they're not being prosecuted, they're not being jailed, and those of us that are just trying to live our lives and to obey the laws and to be good people just kind of have to suck it up and deal with it.
I've taken all of the nicotine.
You can stay right here, please. Call 911. Wow.
Also, of course, we saw the story recently of the woman being beheaded in broad daylight, and it turns out that the man that did so, Jose Rafael Solano Landeta, had overstayed his visa by several years. So he was in the country as an illegal alien, but he was never deported because they live in California, and in California they have strict sanctuary laws which prevents law enforcement from turning in criminal illegal aliens to ICE and having them removed from the country. So they are allowed to stay here to wreak havoc and largely go unreported because they are not in the system as a legal citizen and not documented in a lot of ways. And then, of course, there was the Memphis shooter recently, Ezekiel Kelly, who has a long criminal history, including a 2020 shooting of which he was supposed to be in prison until 2024. But for reasons unknown that I have not been able to find, he was allowed to plead to a lower charge and was released after just 11 months. So during the shooting spree, of which he live streamed a lot of it, a woman named Allison Parker, who didn't know what he was doing and thought he needed help, she was still wearing her scrubs, stopped to help Ezekiel Kelly, and he shot and murdered her instead. So if he had still been in prison for his previous crimes, of which I think 4 years is a reasonable sentence for a previous shooting, if he had still been in prison, this would not have happened. Despite the fact that he used a gun and the leftist narrative says that the gun would have gone out and committed the crime without him, without a deranged criminal behind it and pulling the trigger, the fact that the matter is that the deranged criminal is the key part in whether or not homicides and murders happen, whether it be with guns or with swords, clearly. And then, of course, there was the recent and extremely heartbreaking story of Eliza Fletcher, who was recently abducted and murdered. The accused is Cleotha Abston Henderson, who has a criminal record dating back to the age of 13, including rape and assault of a victim when he was 14, and also abducting a lawyer at gunpoint, throwing him into the trunk of his car and driving him around, demanding that this man withdraw cash from various ATMs. Abston was serving his 24-year prison sentence, but was released early just a couple of years ago after only 20 years. So had he been required to complete his prison sentence, perhaps Eliza, this wonderful light in her community, this mother, this friend, would still be here with us. And this is just one example of what happens when there's not enough accountability. And I'm not saying a 20-year sentence is not enough accountability, but when we're releasing people early, when we're not holding people to the crimes that they commit and recognizing the danger that they are to society and just putting them back out there in our communities, it is innocent people that suffer. It is not the people in Washington, D.C. who have private security and live in gated communities. It is us. It is our family members. It is our loved ones. It is our children that suffer the consequences of these decisions. And in response to the things specifically that have been happening in Memphis, Tennessee, this rampant crime wave, the lack of safety that people are feeling, this reporter was talking about some of the things happening, and she almost broke down in tears just because of the pain and the heartache that the residents and the citizens of that city are feeling right now.
And I know Memphis is tired right now. Yeah, I'm good. I'm with you all. Memphis is tired right now. The Eliza Fletcher kidnapping and abduction and murder. The other crimes we've had this year leading up to this. It's difficult right now. Bear with me. It's a very nerve-wracking night.
And these stories are endless. There are so many things happening in our once beautiful cities. You know, the city of San Francisco, I still cannot believe the utter devastation and the chaos that San Francisco has descended into. I used to love visiting that city. It was just the prettiest city. I've been down that road that goes, that's, you know, really has the really sharp turns on it. I've been on the, is it the trolley, the red trolley that goes down the middle of the city. I've been to the ocean there, and I've been to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it is such a stunning city, or at least it used to be. It used to be a place that we could be really, really proud of and use as, you know, something to show just one of the many beautiful sites in America that people should come and visit. And now it is just, it looks like a third world country, as many of our major cities do. But if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't heartbreaking enough and just unbelievable enough, wait until you see what Governor Pritzker of Illinois is passing in his state.
As of January 1st, 2023, the following things will go into effect, and people need to be aware of this. It abolishes cash bail for almost every offense. This includes, but isn't limited to, kidnapping, armed robbery, second-degree murder, drug-induced homicide, aggravated DUI, threatening a public official, and aggravated fleeing and eluding. Offenders released on electronic monitoring have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. They could almost drive to Alaska. before we can even look for them. It denies victims their constitutional rights. And keep this in mind, businesses and homeowners. Officers will no longer be able to remove trespassers from your residence or your businesses. Someone could decide to live in your shed, and all we can do is give them a ticket. You have to decide what level of force is required to remove them and whether or not it's legal. This is a massive threat to the residents of Orland Park, Cook County, and Illinois.
On top of all that, we know that fentanyl is the #1 killer of individuals ages 18 to 44, and that is because it is pouring over our southern border. And we know that it is also targeting our teens and potentially our young kids. And we also saw just a few months ago where Biden passed the use of safe drug kits, including crack pipes, needles, and sterilization supplies. And he's also funding drug paraphernalia vending machines in rural Kentucky. And I wish this was a joke, but it's not. The Biden administration is set to spend $3.6 million to deploy vending machines filled with drug supplies in rural Kentucky, an effort the Biden administration claims will reduce stigma for drug users. So we're not actually concerned about reducing drug use, which actually improves people's lives, and that is ultimately the safest thing for them to be doing. We are concerned about reducing the judgment that other people have around drug use. The White House referenced the project in an August 31st press release on its actions taken to address addiction and the overdose epidemic. The administration has adopted a wide range of harm reduction policies which aim to make illicit drug use safer rather than eliminate it. If you make drugs more easily available to people, it doesn't matter what my judgments are or what my thoughts are on somebody using drugs. It matters the fact that that person's life is still being ruined, that they are not being helped in any way. They are just given easier access to something that is destroying them. So I am not sure how you can claim that this is going to address addiction and the overdose epidemic unless the intention is to just make it worse. Why? Why is this happening? Because the reason cannot possibly be to benefit law-abiding citizens, and it cannot possibly be a demonstration of our elected officials to adhere to their oath of office to serve the communities that elected them and preserve the rights and the freedoms of the citizens, of us, who elected them to be in that position in the first place. And it cannot possibly be an effort to create stronger communities, better cities, safer neighborhoods for our kids to grow up in. There's no logic in saying that less accountability and fewer consequences for crime is going to create safer cities. There's no positive reason for this. Nothing that contributes to thriving communities for law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. So the only reasons for this would be a negative impact. And this is the reason that I really, truly think that this is happening. In order to take over a country as strong as the United States, where people are free to live their lives how they choose, they are free to succeed as far as they want to go. They are free to pursue any path in life that they choose, whether it be good or bad. It is impossible to take a country that has had a constitution that has survived 250 years because it is based on individual liberty. And it is impossible to destroy a country like that militarily, by force, by outside forces. What you have to do is you have to cripple it from the bottom up and from the inside out. And good, strong people who are able to succeed without limits and have their communities protected through laws and safety will not just hand over that liberty for no reason. They have to be persuaded to do it. And how do you do that? You break them. You break people the way that you just saw in that clip of the reporter just breaking down in tears, saying that people are tired and they are exhausted. you take away their safety and you take away their hope. At the point when people feel scared and hopeless, when they feel that they have no other choice, that's when they will beg people in power to save them, to take care of them, to stop the crime. They will beg for law enforcement of any kind, whether it be your local police department or a federal agency that enforces their own kind of laws. People beg for government assistance and paychecks, no matter how meager those paychecks are and how many hours they have to work to get even enough to survive. People are more likely to give up their liberty and their freedom if they are told that they will be able to walk out of their house and not worry about being robbed or assaulted. And of course, that is just an illusion, because all of these countries like Cuba, it is not safe. It is not crime-free. The government is not keeping these things from happening to people. But if you can convince people that if they just let those in power take over, that they're going to be safe, that's when they are ready to give it up. That's when they are ready to say, okay, you take over, as long as you keep all of this stuff from happening, as long as you stop it from happening. And as for the drugs, that's to lower the number of people that you have to cripple in other ways. Because if someone is dependent on drugs and completely lost in their habit and addiction and completely dedicated to that drug, they don't really need anything else. They don't need to be convinced, they don't need to be talked to about safety. They're not going to beg people for safety. They are already lost in something that is taking their life and their liberty. They are not free to be who they are. They are not free to act because they are so dependent on this one thing. The rampant crime and devastation to society that it causes is just one more way to take down hardworking, freedom-loving, family-loving Americans and get us to beg the people at the top to save us, to keep us safe, to stop the crime, to save our loved ones. And, maybe that sounds very just far-fetched, but at this point in time, over the last couple of years, there's a lot of things, as I've said before, that would have sounded far-fetched not that long ago, and today sound completely within the realm of possibility. I don't say these things to scare people. And if you have another reason as to why all of this crime and devastation and drugs and open borders and unvetted people coming into our country that we don't know if they're criminals or not, we don't know if they want to cause harm, why they're being allowed just to flood our borders, why all of these things are happening that are devastating to Americans, devastating to our families, devastating to our schools and our communities, where people are losing their loved ones at record rates, innocent people, to these policies. If you can tell me a positive reason that is beneficial to society, that benefits and lifts up law-abiding people, then I would be happy to listen. I would be happy to hear it. Because from where I sit, there is no positive reason for these kind of laws to be happening, because we are the ones that have to live with the consequences. As I said, it is not the people in the White House, it's not the people in Congress, the people that say that we don't deserve police officers, but they need private security. It's not for our benefit. So I'm open to hearing that maybe there is a better reason for it that I don't see, and please leave it in the comments below. But from where I sit, I don't see it. So let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to my channel, share this video. Also, please be sure that you are active on Rumble. I don't think YouTube is going to allow conservative content for that much longer. We want to make sure that we're connected on the other platforms that don't censor free speech. So please find me over there. Have a good day. I'll see you later.